Hey, good morning. It's almost 3 o'clock in the morning, and normally I would be doing a Facebook Live, but decided to just come from my own phone. And I'm going to upload this later. So, this is Elise, and some things came to my heart and mind that I really need to speak about. And it's really, concerning passive aggressiveness. People sometimes are called passive aggressive, meaning that they can do certain things in a passive manner, and their aggression through their passivity is just as potent, or can be just as potent, as somebody who were to take a gun and blow somebody's head off. Sometimes passive aggressive behavior is also, it's calculative, it's cunning, it's manipulative, and sometimes it's so subtle that you just would not recognize it until later on. It's like, did they do that? Oh my God. And I talk about that today because I was connected to a few people in my life. And for the life of me, I did not see what really was going on. And some parts of it I saw just in situational ways, circumstantive ways. But how do I say it? As a therapist, counselor, making a decision like how I want to deal with this situation, to me, because they were friends of mine, it was to be a friend rather than to be in the vein of a therapist, quote unquote, with all the trimmings. So I said, some things I saw, and then some things I didn't see. Let me break it down. So we have a mother with a child, and the child suffers from a particular illness. And the mother is aware of what the illness really is. And she sees firsthand how, you know, the child is affected by this particular illness that she suffers from. And in the vein of trying to address everything that goes on with the child, in terms of what's expressed, there are therapists put in place, there are activities that are put in place, and then there's the knowledge that the child herself is not an unintelligent child. On the contrary, very smart, but that her age does not match up with her mental capacity. But still, in all, she's very smart. Sometimes reasoning is a problem. And sometimes what happens is that vying out for what we would call attention, whether it's negative attention or positive attention, she just needs attention. So, in all of that, we don't necessarily see the dynamics that go on in the home all the time. We see some things, but because there are some things that are put in place, it looks like, wow, mom is doing so good. I mean, she got this therapist, she got that therapist, she's got that activity, and she's got that activity. And there are some other people, perhaps, maybe friends of the child, but then again, maybe not. So here I am, very active in both the parent's life and the child's life. So the parent has no problem to call me up and say, can you go pick her up? Can you take her? Or share with me the things that she's doing. But when she does it, she blurts it out in a manner that is kind of talking about the child while the child is standing there as she's on the phone. So I could say to her quickly, is she standing there? Well, yes, she is. Well, please don't talk about her while she's standing there. And the mother gets upset and riled up because she doesn't like what the child is actually doing. So if the child is vying for attention, that's part of the expressiveness of the illness that is, you know, present, with this child right now. But the mom knows that. So there are many ways to handle things, but these are the ways that the mom tries to handle it. So, okay, everything looks wonderful. And then mom goes, well, can you go with her to her class? Can you come with us to the therapy? Can you come with us to the doctor? Can you talk to these people on the phone? And in my heart of hearts, I have no problem because she's mine too. That's the way I feel. And I've been in her life since she was a little girl. So, moving forward, I'm on the bus. We're going to a knitting class. And all of a sudden, the young lady, the young girl, takes a pencil and she jukes me in my neck with it. And I know her, and I know her behaviors, and I know that this is stemming from something because we were fine as we sat there on the bus, no problem. And she just blurted out. But understanding also that mom plays a role in provoking her every time she's going with someone else. So it may not happen immediately, her response to going somewhere else, but it may come in delayed action. So we're fine. And then all of a sudden, chakao. And because of who I am, and some of the training that I've had, thanks be to God, I said, are you finished? Oh, I was in pain. But I could not allow her to see me in that kind of pain because with what it is that's, expressive out of her, anything could have happened. So I said, are you finished? And she just turned back around. And then she started her stuff again. And I got up out the seat and I took her to get out off the bus because my thought was, you know what, maybe we don't need to be on the bus with this, because she's kind of like out of sorts right now. So I started to move out, the bus getting ready to stop. And she got to the place where she ran out and started running back and forth in the bus with the bus moving like that. And I had to literally grab a hold to her and take her off the bus. Took her off the bus. And we sat down and I said to her, look, let me tell you something. Either you're going to get yourself together and we're going to go to the knitting class, or I have to take you to the hospital. Did I mean it? Yes. In all truth and sincerity, I meant it. So what's your choice? One time. She was quiet. The next bus came. I said, let's go. We got on the bus. We had no problem. She went with me. We went to the knitting class, which was in Inwood. So I had her and myself enrolled in a knitting class for a while. And it was a senior citizen class, but some of the people that came also were not seniors, and they would bring their children. So she was with other kids, and oh my God, they could knit, they could crochet really good. And she had her skill already. So we were going. She was doing great. And then I would drop her home. Right after we come back from Inwood, I would take her all the way back home to her mom. So let's go full speed ahead to the age of 18. So, with COVID and everything, her mom calls me and says, well, she can't stay here. So I'm like, where are you? Well, I'm in New Jersey. I said, well, what do you mean? Well, I thought you were back home. No, I'm here. And she can't come. She can't stay here. I said, well, it's COVID. But that's your daughter. So you're telling me that she can't stay with you because, well, she was in the street and she can't stay here because it's COVID. Well, what are you going to do with your daughter? What are you going to do? Well, she can't come in here. I said, you know what? I'll take her. I'll take her until COVID is over. It's not a problem. So here's the thing. I was already packed to move. My first bedroom, the mattress, the frame, and everything, boxes everywhere. And then the back bedroom, I had a twin bed that was down. So in my saying that, it was my heart of hearts. It really was. I was speaking because I love this child and I know about her. So the mother says to me, well, you meet me across the street at the store. And I said, no, 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 no. If you're going to bring her, you bring her right to me. I'm not going to get dressed and go and meet you at the store. You come right to me. So she comes to the building and the young lady has on some shorts, a clear type plastic bag, no mask, but her mom is dressed and she has on a mask. So the young lady's upset. She's upset because how would you feel if your mom is telling you that you can't come in the house because it's COVID? And she's 18 years old, but her age does not match her mental capacity. Not that she's crazy, not that she's so ditzy dumb, no. But she understands some things, but like, I can't come home. Okay, so we don't get into all the reasons of where she was and all of that, but she has a place to stay. So as she's coming upstairs, she's full of, and she's upset. She's upset. But I know her. She'll get over it. So she comes in and she's there. And like, you know what? You want to help me get the room ready? And then she goes, okay, all right, God, mommy. And we go into the room. I had already started before she came. And we start getting the room together because it was packed. The bed frame, the mattress, everything already up because I'm preparing to move. So I put the bed down, sprayed it, everything, put the sheets on it, took out the television, put it on the stand. So she had a real room for herself with a queen size bed. So everything was okay. So all of a sudden we start laughing and having a good time and everything is good. So she got over the hump. And then she goes, well, can I call mommy? And I'm like, okay, no problem. So she calls her mom. And they talk for a little bit. And I start realizing, and I think I knew from before too, that, in watching what goes on, anytime she's with her mom or on the phone or whatever, there's a quick change sometimes in her behavior. Her mom kind of sort of provokes her. And she flows through that provoking manner into a different type of expression with whomever she's with. So as soon as she got off the phone, there was some changes, a little bit, And in fact, what happened is I couldn't keep her on the phone that long because I kind of knew. I was like, okay, we're done. Let's go. Come on. She's like, oh, but I said, then she said, okay. And she hung up the phone and we were okay for a minute, for a little bit. I think really what happened this time is there was a second time that she wanted to call. And I let her call the second time. And then the provoking nature kind of came out. But her mother already sowed some seeds on that first call. And remember, delayed reactions come about in children sometimes who are suffering from certain particular types of illness and so forth, where they're not, comprehending things like right away. Or they're not processing right away. Whereas some child, you can tell us something and the response is just like that. And in others, the response comes delayed. So she spoke to her twice, and then all of a sudden there was like this whole uproar, this whole hoopla. And what happened is that she actually beat me. She started to fight me inside my own home. And because I already knew that it wasn't really her intention to hurt me, but that this was her acting out of what was provoking, coming through her mom on the phone, I let her beat me. I already was going through my own health challenges for a while, but I let her beat me. I also defended myself though, just in the sense that, certain things, And what happened is that we tussled a little bit. She even knew that I had a problem with my balance. I was carrying a cane and the whole nine. And she actually fell in the floor. And the stove looked like it was about to tip. And I said to her, get up. And she said, no. I said, get up. She said, no. So I had to reach down and grab her up by her shirt and put her against the door. And then I said, get off the door. She said, no. I said, get off the door. It's a fire hazard. Oh, she said, why? I said, it's a fire hazard. And she got off the door. But the real reason for bringing her off the floor was because I didn't want to see the stove tip over on her. And then putting her on the door where she was like this was safer. But I wanted her to understand that it was a fire hazard. And it was also kind of like breaking down what was going on. And she stood there, and she just looked. And I said, what? She couldn't say a whole lot because for some reason she gathered, oh my God, it's a fire hazard on the door. And out of that, I started to sing to her and tell her how beautiful she was. And I did it in a rap song, something that she could understand. I talked to her. I told her about COVID. I said, you don't want to be out there with COVID. You don't have to leave here. Just everything that would, promote her best, expression. You know what I'm saying? Really, her best expression, not something terrible, where she would get into a funk all over again. So even with all of that, I said to her, look, I love you. You don't have to go. You can stay. There's COVID out there. What do you want to do? Is there anything else that you want to do next or whatever? And she was interested in kind of changing her clothes. I said, okay, then go to the back, change your clothes, do what you want to do. And it's fine. The bedroom is all set up and blah, blah, blah. And while she did that, I called her mom and I let her mom know exactly what was going on. And she said, if she wants to leave, let her leave. I said, okay, that's your word, not a problem. So I'm not thinking that she's putting on her clothes to actually leave out the house. I'm like, okay, she's changing, whatever. Anyway, she takes her clothing and her bag, and all of a sudden she walks out. But I had already spoke to her mom. You see, her mom knows her ways and her mannerisms. She took her stuff and she left. And even as she left, I called the police. I did. Because I didn't want it to ever be said that she left in such a manner, where I did something to her. I already called her mom. I called the police. I also called her mom back and told her mom that I called the police. So the police actually came over. We did a police report and the whole nine. And while the police were there, I also called her on the phone so that there would be, this kind of cross communication with the understanding that I was always in touch with her mom. And what it is that the mom was telling me to do is what we allowed to happen. So if her mom was safe with her the way that she was, and saying it's okay for her to leave, the onus is not on me because I called the authority. Now remember, this is the mom that would not allow her child to come home because it's COVID. But she knows, given the situation with her state, her mental state, and the illness that she had and so forth, this is what she said was fine. Okay, I'm going to leave that right there for a moment. I'm also finding out, in the little time that, her daughter and I did talk, she started saying stuff to me like, you know what, bitch got to make her money. And I said, what? Bitch got to make her money? What are you talking about? Well, she wasn't upset with me when I came to the hospital and I gave her $1,000. I said, what you mean? She said, because I was trying to help her out and she was so happy. It wasn't that she was upset with me. She was sharing with me some things that she did to make money to bring to her mother. But that was the way that she expressed it. She felt comfortable enough to say that to me. And I'm like, okay, so I realized I can't take it beyond what it is that I'm thinking. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, I can't take it to that point. And I'm like, okay, all righty, blah blah blah. And I already told you she was left. This was before she left, but just in conversation, So here's the thing. Here's the thing. I'm talking to her mom at some point, right? And I'm like, so what happened with the money thing? She said, oh yeah, she brought me money and I'm glad that she brought it. Okay, fine. Got it. I called another time. This was like after. And I'm like, tell me, where's my goddaughter? Oh, she's with the police. I said, with the police? Why aren't you with her? Oh, they already know her. Right then and there. I'm like, why didn't you go? Why would you not go with her? Well, they know her. They know her already. Leave that right there. Okay? I might have some things a little bit kind of mixed up. That's okay in terms of when things happen, but it wasn't a lifetime of me knowing exactly what was going on at the house. And even if I found out that she was with the police, I asked her, why wouldn't you go with her? You can't stay home while she's out there, but they know her. No, that's not good. And then when the daughter finally says to me in this visit, those things, I knew kind of sort of what some things were, what some of the things were that were actually happening. And then now I'm putting the rest together, how the mother doesn't want her to come in because of COVID. Can you put two and two together? But still in all, it is her child. Still in all, given all of those variables, all of those different things, do you think that an exception could have been made? And then why would it have to have been an exception when it's your child? Maybe something else could have happened, as a choice, or something else could have been looked at. But I didn't know all of those different things before she came like that, like knowing all of the things until it was way after. Like, whoa, okay, got it. When I spoke to her another time, I mean, this was before all the COVID thing, I said to her, like, when you go to your friend's house, where does she go? Because she had mentioned to me, the mother, well, she's not allowed to go to this person's house. So I said, well, where is she when she's not with you? She said, oh, she's out. But I didn't, kind of like, okay, so I figured maybe she's at one of her other friend's house or whatever. Well, she's not allowed to go over there. But the neighbor has kids. But she's not allowed to go over there to play with the kids. Are you serious? So let's bring it all back in. Let's bring it all back in. So here's the point. Passive aggressive. She's passive about certain things. Mom. In the ways that she does what she does. But she's not seeing. She's not seeing some things. Like, it's okay to let her go with police because they know her. Are you that trusting of them? You understand? But maybe there was something underlying that she wanted to happen. And I'll tell you what it is or what it was later. And then she's not able to go to the neighbor's house that has kids that she could play with. But she's not allowed to go. But the mom will get up and go and leave the daughter. And then if the daughter sees the mom on the phone, the mom now takes the opportunity to scream and yell and fuss and fight and talk about her right there with the person being on the phone. And myself, if it was me on the other end telling her, is she there? Don't talk about her. But she'll continue, but she always gets me like this and I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm gonna say goodbye. Don't do that. Because of just me understanding, putting myself in the place of the child, But she's vying for attention, but the mother knows it. But here's the thing, the mother can't give it. She's at a place herself where she just can't give it. The most attention that's put out there is when the child sits down for 3 hours or 4 hours and she does her hair. She's an excellent braider, mom, and she does her hair with perfection. So now she's beautiful. And then the cousin, oh, she's going to go shopping with her cousin. Oh, okay, well, that's cool. And then she goes, oh, she's going to get these shorts. She wants to buy these things. And I'm like, oh, okay. But I'm not putting two and two together. I'm not putting two and two together like, okay, she spends 3 and 4 hours and that's the attention that she gives to the child. So the child is loving it because she's getting beautified. But she doesn't really notice or realize that that beautification is really for something else. But once you start putting 2 and 2 and 4 and 4 and 6 and 6 together, like, okay, so she's with the police, but you won't go with her when she's with the police. You're at a neighbor's house that has kids that she could play with, children, but she's not allowed to go there. And then you want to talk about her while she's right there in front of you. She's vying for your love and attention. She wants you alone, but you find at the opportune time to just lash out at her, screaming and hollering and get away from me and da-da-da and the whole nine. And while she's on the phone with someone else. Whew. So is the daughter grateful for that 3 or 4 hours spent that she's sitting down in the chair, or that she's leaning over, sleeping and getting her hair done or whatever, or for the clothes that she's being bought to be beautified? You understand what I'm saying? And then later on, she's in some other kind of way with other people, but mom is not there to see it. So passive, because it looks like it's a beautiful thing that she's being beautified and got new clothes, and the cousin is taking her shopping and she wanted these kinds of shorts and this kind of thing. And I'm like, are you sure? And it's okay, right? It's fine. But then she's also, with all of what she's saying that looks like it's so wonderful, got the writing academy and the therapist over here and the music over here and the this and that, all these things in place, making it look like it's so wonderful. She got it on point. And as I'm seeing these things through the years, she's 18 now. I'm like, wow, I'm so telling the mom, I'm so proud of you, that you got all this. Listen, but even with all those things in place, you cannot negate the fact that there was an aggression going on beneath the surface, that everybody was so busy. But check this, busy, family members busy. But they wouldn't, according to the mom, allow her to come to their house because it's always trouble. So was I the only one that she could come and visit and stay with? And we always had good times, but when she first would come in, there would always be an issue. Always be an issue because she's leaving mom. And it's the way that mom brought her. The tay-to-tay, the communication that went on before she came. And then we don't even know how hostile it was. And even if the daughter got hostile with the mother and the mother said she was hostile with her, imagine her kind of trying to deal with all of that, and then imagine the underlying thing. I want to get rid of her. I don't want her anymore. So that when she came to me, she handed me papers. But she was only supposed to stay with me for COVID. I didn't have to have papers, but I told her that if anything, and she knew it, if anything happened, I would gladly take her. And let me tell you what I was met with many times. Like I said, coming, she had an attitude. As soon as she got in the door, it was always something. One time when she was a little bit younger, she came in the door and she stood by the door like this, and she was crying profusely. And I told her, come off the door and have a seat. And she just went berserk. She took her hand and wiped it across my table. My table used to be set with dishes and everything, ceramic and whatever. I was trying to do that kind of thing. She wiped all the dishes off the table and they just busted up in the floor. And I said to her, okay, have a seat. And she sat there and she just continued to cry and cry and cry with her coat on and everything. I let her sit right there. And being that my table was all bare now, I cleaned up everything. She fell asleep. I cleaned up everything and I set the table, a big oblong table filled with arts and crafts, filled with paper, coloring, markers, crayons, you name it, sticky paper, you name it. And she woke up. I said, hey, you okay? She said, I'm fine. Yes, God, mommy. I said, you want to do some arts and crafts? Do you want to make a card? She said, oh, yes, mommy. Yes, God, mommy. I said, all right. And we hit it right to the table, and she started immediately doing the arts and craft. Arts and craft. And it was beautiful. And anytime she stayed, what I would do, yes, I would take pictures of her. And the reason why I would take pictures is because her mom always reported how it is that when there was stuff going on in the house, she would make her go in her bedroom and close the door. And then the next time you open the door, she punched and kicked holes in the bedroom wall. It's like she stayed up through the night and she just did all of this stuff. So my thing was, you know what, I want to document. I don't want to ever have something where I don't have proof that she's sleeping. So while she slept in her own room, I would take a few pictures of her. Yes, I did. And send them to her mother just to show her that she slept through the night. Not only that, always had a plan for her every day. There was not a day that we didn't do something. Kept her busy, occupied. And even in the kitchen, I said, you want to do something? You want to help me in the kitchen? You want to help me cook? You want to help me? You want to do the dishes? What you want to do? So she would get up and I had a little step stool. So she'd get on the step stool and she said, I'm going to wash the little dishes. I said, okay, no problem. And she'd be, oh, yeah. Oh, Lord. Oh. And it was the sweetest thing, she enjoyed herself. She was excited and she helped. She did something. She was helping. She was contributing. And that made her feel good. And then there were days we were right outside in the snow making angels and that, or either we were crocheting at home or we were making pouches. And even when I went down to North Carolina to see her, still working with art supplies and different things with her down there. And you want to know something? There was an occasion going down there where she went berserk, but I wasn't with her by myself. Her mom was right there. And I stood back because I'm in their home. I stood back and watched what went on. And then came a time when I asked her if I could intervene. Now, here's where some people will get it twisted. I'm not worried because I come with truth. She was screaming and hollering and and I got her and I covered her like this. Do you remember in the Bible the woman whose son died? And the prophet came and laid right on and just breathed, just calmed down. And I did that to her. And I said, are you okay? She said, I'm okay. I said, well, I'm going to get up. I don't want you to hurt yourself or run and hurt anybody else and the screaming and the whole nine. You all right? She said, I'm okay. Some other stuff went on, not with me, but she started screaming again. But I know where it came from. It didn't come from me. It came from the fact that her mom was still there. And her mom's presence and aura with everything, because she's in the provoking nature. And then there's the confrontation, I know now, between her mom and me. But I'm more unaware of it at that time, not even realizing how her mom was feeling about me. Very, very, very upset and angered at the relationship that I built with her daughter. Passive aggressive. And then I start thinking, like, oh my God, every time we are together, you know, and I speak to her daughter would be short. No. And she would let her be nasty. Or if she's on the phone and I say, let me speak to her a few moments. I say, hey, what's going on? Did you read the Max Lucado book? Did you check the book? You wrote any songs lately? You singing anything? No. But, well, I don't want, I mean, like, really? And then I would get back on with her mother. I said, what's her? Well, you know. No, her mother gloated in that. She was excited that her daughter was responding to me in that way. Do you get what's going on? Do you see the psychology behind that? Passive aggressive. So any way that it was possible for her mom's or the mom's aggression to come out, it would come out in such a way that it would look like that it was not really an aggression and that it came from the daughter, but it actually stemmed from the mother's, you know, how do I say, engage with the daughter. And her feelings came through like that. The mom's feelings came through the daughter. And the daughter allowed her to be that way. So her mother wasn't yelling at me or screaming at me or upset with me because of the relationship. Do you follow? Some deep stuff. She wasn't yelling at me, but she let her daughter do it to me. They both were together and I was on the other end of the phone. So in other words, her mother could never come out to me and say, you know what? I'm envious and jealous of the relationship that you have with my daughter, that she doesn't put you through what she puts me through. Oh my God. But yet and still with all of that, I didn't see it for a long time. And even when we were together out in the street, mother, daughter, and me, the daughter was always nasty. Now, a normal parent would be like, don't talk to her like that. Are you kidding me? That's your godmother. You don't talk like that. No, she let her do those things in front of me. She let her do them on the phone while I wasn't there to see it, but I got the brunt of it over the phone through a phone conversation. And who knows what else? She was short. She was abrupt. She was nasty. What else could have been going on? Being left inside a room and punching and kicking holes out in the wall. Nobody's watching her. So what was mom doing? She just wanted some time alone. She's tired. Some people ain't gonna like this. And some people might say, well, you're wrong. No, it's okay if you feel that way. But this is something that needs to be told. Because we have a lot of passive aggressive stuff going on. And it doesn't even look like it's the person that is the caregiver. Sometimes it's always made to look like it's the other people. But if you start to look at how things play out, in terms of how, easily the cord is broken to allow the child to go out over here and over there, and you know it, but you don't see anything wrong with her being with male police officers, or even female for that matter, at the age that she is. She might have been 18 or 17 or 16. But if her mental capacity, not saying that she was dumb diddy dumb, no, doesn't equate to the age, then why would you not be with a minor that is your child? To make sure that everything is cool. I don't care if you got a camaraderie with the police department and you feel so comfortable there is still a responsibility. Now, I know somebody can throw daggers and everything. Go ahead and do it, whatever you want. My whole thing was to be a friend and a present help. Present help. And my presence, very well noted, because I was with her when she was at the hospital overnight. I was with her at her therapy appointments. I was with her at some of her doctor's appointments. I was with her at the knitting class. I went to pick her up from school. She spent time at my house. Yes, we went to the park. We played in the snow. She did arts and crafts. All of these different kinds of things. But you know how it plays out on me? But I'm not worried about it. Because I could have did the reverse and just played the role of the counselor. But even when I'm on the train and I'm doing my own thing, I'm getting calls. Well, can you talk to these people for me? Can you talk to them? And could you do this? And could you? They didn't even know the extent of my own personal occupation for a lifetime in dealing with troubled children and dealing with people who are MRDD, DD, special needs. I never ever came out and expressed any of these things. But anytime I was needed, I was there. So even if the tables turned and somebody wants to say this or say that or want to document stuff about me, you know how hard it is to keep it going when you know that you've given what you can give. But then you have other people that are behind. And it's okay. I'm not worried. The whole goal behind this is to talk about passive aggression. And sometimes we don't really even see it. But the aggression is so deep. It's so strong. You know, it is not only that, it is the effect of it is just as if somebody took a gun and shot somebody's head off. One person is just blatant with it. Boom! And the next one is doing all these cunning and manipulative and calculative things where you really can't see. But the whole premise, the whole focus is, I'm tired, I'm done, I don't want it anymore. But what about the family? What about the cousin that you stayed with? What about the sisters? And all the people? But here I am, this one, not really a family member, but a godmother, willing to take her till COVID is over. But blatantly giving some papers. It was just till COVID. But nah, she was saying, nah, I'm done. Ixnay. And when the police came, they came a couple of times. You know, because I also was trying to figure out, like, okay, it's been a number of hours and like, do you know where she, did they tell you anything or blah, blah, blah? And oh, you forgot. And the mom came, actually, she came down. And I said, when she left, I was like, to the police officer, oh my God, can I run out? I just want to run out and give her the papers. She already got in the elevator. Can you make sure she gets these papers? Oh, no problem, Miss Reynolds. There was no charge, no arrest. Everything was done the way it was supposed to be done. So even if you want to make a claim of something else, what would you claim? When everything was done the way it was supposed to be done. And then what about the best friend whose children always would say, because the best friend told me, yeah, my children always used to say, well, why does her mother treat her like that? But she's your best friend and she's the secretary of your club. Then why did you open your mouth and say something? I didn't see it all. This was after the fact. I hadn't seen it in those ways until after that last event, like analyzing and looking at it. And I'm like, oh my God, experiencing it live time, real time. But the best friend said her children used to say it to her, different things. But yet she would come all the way up here to New York and do whatever she needed to do with her best friend. With her best friend. And it was like a no-brainer, la-di-da-da-da-da, and the whole nine. So then what? And they were there with each other all the time. There were times they came up and I didn't even know that my goddaughter was here. And it would be, if I did know, it would be the very last day, just before they were going home. And I'd be like, oh, well, where's she at? Well, she's here. But the mom would come. But she knew I wanted to see her. But well, we just running through, blah, blah, blah. Okay. But she had already been here and I had no idea. But if she needed something, I was the one who did the running. So, with all that said, passive aggressive motion, and knowing the fact that I was right there. And I started with, what do you do with the parent, who has a desire to do some other things, but moves out as though the real reason for why they're doing it is not what it really seems. And then you offer a solution, and then some other things come into play, and then you start to find out. And then it's like, wow. So myself, it looks like they broke away. I'm not even worried about all of that. I'm not. She's been at my house a number of times, never. But nobody wants to look at how she got there, how she arrived, how she left, the conversations, all those different things. But then where is the responsibility and or the accountability of the family members that knew for a lifetime exactly where the mom stood? Some of her own issues stemmed around her own abuse. And it happens sometimes. So I wasn't there only for the daughter. I was also there with the mom through some of her own stuff. Could a family member have been more, available? But you know what happened? The family member said, I can't take this one. There was another brother, and she took that one too. So what? So come on, family, talk. What did you want her to do? What would you want her to do? Well, I got to do this, and I'm not putting it up with no more. Well, I got my own issues too. I mean, y'all come over and visit, have some food, whatever. Well, she can't come. So both of them at one time? Was it too much? And the handling of one may have been just too much enough. Figure that out. Too much enough. And then to have the other one. And I just happened to be there on one occasion when both of them were going off. And it was that time. But the other child, I think, wasn't in the house at the moment. Or if he was somewhere else. But both of them at the same time, day and night. Well, case study, for real. This is Elise. There is hope still. Signing out.